Hey there, thanks for joining us at the Rabbit Hole of Research, where you'll learn a few facts that you can impress your friends with at a party.
Hey, welcome back to the Rabbit Hole of Research, down here in the basement studio for the Mini. It's a new...
Hello.
We have me.
We got a new name for it.
We got a new name. Or just a truncated name, like you got the Recap Mini. Now it's just the Mini.
Okay.
Yeah. We got me, Joe, of course, here. We got...
You got Nick.
Georgia.
We got Georgia. Barely got Nick. He's been dealing with the norovirus, so that's it.
Okay.
And Mary's not
I'm just
here.
over here jawing things around.
And Mary's not here. Yeah, you keep those germs over there.
Nick is virtual.
You want me to
because
go
we
virtual?
don't.
No. Yeah, so the episode we released was Medicine of the Future with Davis Ashura, fantasy author and physician.
Right. It did feel like a really long time ago that we recorded.
That wasn't too long ago.
It's just
Yeah.
weird. Time is always weird.
Yeah.
This is an illusion. And we've also just
Time
recently
is-
had the daylight savings.
Exactly.
We had daylight
Going on
savings, that's
again.
I'm
right.
still
So,
trying to recover
which is pretty
from
hard
that.
on the body. Speaking of breaking your sleep, so sleep's really important.
Yeah, I know.
And so,
why the heck?
It
So,
needs to stop.
It does.
yeah, I don't. Yeah. Okay, we petition that. Have to
This
go
is
and
the episode where I just lose it on daylight savings.
yeah. I think a lot of the episode too. Were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
It came down to focusing on healthcare and actually maintaining a healthy, increasing your health span versus a lifespan. So Davis
Right.
really was advocating for that, eating healthy,
More quality over
Right.
quantity.
and doing
kind
that.
of.
And we also touched on some of our natural world that's being destroyed and maybe missing out on some potential healing benefits or
Exactly.
medicines. And there was an article here about a group. They're racing to save Midwest native seeds. So they are actually
I
trying
saw
to
that.
curate the collection and put that together. So I thought we just did the episode and I saw this article come out. So I thought that was really
And who are they?
the Chicago Botanic Gardens are part of this
It's like a whole collective to.
and going through to save the native seeds in the Midwest.
And how are they doing with that? Are they succeeding in saving said seeds?
Yeah, they
I
are.
think they're doing a good
They're
job.
doing a really good job. The coalition now includes roughly 300 restoration ecologists, land managers, seed growers across 150 institutions in 11 states. And together they're researching what species are most in demand, where they're likely to thrive, and how to produce them at scale and get them in the ground, repopulate.
I think that's so
these areas,
fascinating
so-
because I often think about apples. I don't know.
What?
I don't know what you're saying.
What are you talking about, Georgia?
I don't mean that I often think about apples.
That's what you said.
But what I think about.
She's losing it
I
over
know.
apples. I didn't expect this.
No,
Throwing me off.
no, I realized. I don't remember when I realized, but I realized how many different varieties of apples there are. And a lot of them have died out. But if you think about it, there's so many different varieties of apples. And then I would only know Gala and Honeycrisp, whatever. And so it's
Your red delicious.
just so many other things we've talked about where you just don't have the exposure. You just don't even know it exists. And then you realize how many different.
It's a lot of monocultures, so where one fruit or vegetable grows really well, and so you just grow acres and acres of that
I know.
and not focus on all the kind of the variety, which
Or
then
the
they all have their health
heirlooms
benefits, their
and the-
flavors. To that, I know there was it's in New York, I think is one of they have a lot of orchards and varieties there where they actually grow and try to maintain some of these varieties that were being lost through history because they're not sold in stores. So it was counter thought with plants and seeds that if you don't eat the plant, like so people don't grow it so that people eat it, then the seeds won't be grown, they won't grow, and you
Right.
won't get more. So really it's if you want to
Use
save
it or lose it.
right, you go
kind of
eat
thing.
eat
And then-
more
So this
vegetables.
really is interesting to me. So there could have been like some variety of an apple a long time ago But if it hasn't been, it's just gone.
It could
right?
be, yeah. No,
It's
it
like-
could be some mangy wild tree
And,
out
like, I
there
know,
with
like,
those fruits. But
I know.
yeah,
Yeah,
it would
last year we planted these seeds that we weren't totally confident about, like how old they were.
Yeah, they were
And then-
several years old.
Some of them really didn't work out.
Yep.
And that was only a few years if you think about in the big picture. So, yeah, they have to really, it's not just a matter of, oh, let's just save these seeds in this cabinet here.
Right.
It's like
And
save.
then trees, I mean, like apples, orchards, and things like that, generally they're grafted. So you have a rootstock. And so you take the plant that's going to make the apples. Usually you want to have a hardy plant and have all the nutrients get to it. So they'll have a rootstock, and then they'll graft the vegetative part on top. And then then that grows. That's why if you just take apple seeds from the store and plant it in dirt, your tree, it probably will grow because life finds a way. But what will happen is that it won't be as robust. So you won't get as much fruit off of that.
or
so
the
those
fruit
trees
itself might not be
right.
good.
So that's something to think about when you
So
have plants
correct
like
me
that.
if I'm wrong, but isn't there a place where people store seeds
There is, yeah.
to keep them alive and not extinct?
The-
And isn't
Like
that
a
in
seed
Antarctica
bank.
or something?
No, it's not Antarctica. I think it's Norway or somewhere up
Norway?
there. Yeah, Norway.
I know it's cold,
or-
but I was hoping it was.
Yeah, so that's nice. You're taking advantage of the natural temperature being colder, and it's a seed vault. And so the idea is that
So
there's
will
for
those seeds, because of the temperature and the way they're being, they will.
they'll
like,
last longer.
It's kind of
yeah,
like
yeah. You probably will have to
It's like
propagate them at some
the
point in
sleeping
time.
pods in the alien ship.
But I think the seed bank, it's not only rare varieties, but I think it's just this is seeds if something happened to the world's agriculture and you need to now give out
Kinda
seeds to start over.
Yeah.
They would have a collection
Like if
of
Wally
wheat and,
was
right.
going around
Wally.
looking. Yeah.
Well, by the time Wally went around, we were in a world of hurt there. But yeah, so it's something to think about. So like our garden that we have here, they all have heirlooms, and so heirlooms breed true, and so these
you
are
can use the
historic,
seeds.
right? These are historic varieties of tomato, pepper, lettuce, collards,
But we
all
haven't
sorts
really
of things.
tried saving seeds.
We haven't really, no. Usually I buy them because the Seed Savers organization in
They're
Iowa,
much better at saving.
they
the
actually,
seeds.
that's their job, and I like to support them. So we usually buy seeds, but we could actually save seeds of different varieties and keep it going. So
I
So
think
how would you save the seeds? Would you just pick them off and then put them in the freezer? Or is that
don't have
not
to-
acceptable?
you don't have to put them in the freezer. You can for long term, but if you're going to
refrigerator,
grow
more
them,
the refrigerator, right?
yeah, if you're growing them year to year, refrigerator temperatures are great. So yeah, the seed saving part, you got to be careful because the plants will cross with each other. So if you have two different varieties of tomato, let's say you have Hungarian heart and you have a mortgage lifter. So two different kind of classic heirloom
Everybody
varieties.
knows those tomatoes.
They're classic
Yeah, you
heirloom
can use
varieties.
something easy.
Beefsteak.
And then you grow these two plants. You have to ensure that the reproductive parts of the plant, the flower, are isolated from each other. So you can isolate them by distance, or you can isolate them by actually putting some sort of enclosure over the flower until they set fruit. And so you have to be careful about that. So especially like with peppers. So if you have a hot pepper and you have a sweet pepper and they accidentally cross, you collect seeds. When you grow it, you'll have some of those because you'll get the F1s, they call it the next generation. F1s will be a hybrid getting genes from mom and dad plants. And generally the capsaicin gene
Which
is
makes
dominant.
it hot.
Makes it hot. So the peppers you would get would all be hot, even
And
if they
I
look
love
sweet.
sweet potato,
So they could be
potatoes,
they
sweet
look sweet.
pepper.
I like sweet potatoes too. But we could go down that rabbit hole and talk about. People
I
have
do
questions
think-
about
I
growing
do-
plants and stuff. Please send it in.
I do think that Davis, that was the thing that stood out to me the most. Is out of everything, talking about healthcare, you could talk about all these fancy medicines and technologies, but when it comes right down to it, the biggest health, what's the word? Tied to the kitchen. You know what I mean? It's tied to what you buy at the grocery store or what you plant, what you eat. And I thought that really stood out for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that I had talked about in the episode was Dolly, the sheep that was cloned. And even though Dolly did die younger at age 6 and had short telomeres, it was interesting because there were more than one cloned sheep at the time. Dolly's just the one, I think it was the first. But there was a couple other tries. And those sheep actually had lived normal lives and had normal telomeres. And so the idea is that maybe it was just unique outcome to her specific procedure instead of an overall kind of a thing about cloning. Wanted to correct that it was, and it was they took adult cell lines instead of stem cells, so to actually make the clone. So stem cells are cells which can become any cell, so they're pluripotent, they call them. So there are like this master stock cells that will turn into any other cell if you prompt them, versus adult cells, which have already differentiated, so they've already become whatever they're going to become and living their best life.
If you have a cell from a younger one and you go ahead and clone it, but that original one ends up getting like cancer or something, will the younger one then get cancer as well, or no? Does it follow in that same path?
It depends on what the factors of why the original got cancer. So was it some predeterminate genetic underlying factor? So women who are more susceptible to breast cancer, like, to go back to a particular class of genes that they could have and mutations in those genes that would lead to a higher incidence of breast cancer. So if that was the case, then yes, that genetically, that genetics would be passed. If the cancer was because they were out in the sun and smoked 10 packs a day of cigarettes.
Sheep?
I was more going to the human scenario. But yeah, so if something the sheep ate radioactive grass, I don't know, whatever gave it cancer, you have to trace its source. Was it genetic, or was it something in its environment that kind of led to it developing cancer? I'm not an oncologist, so if one's listening, they can chime in. So
become one and give me the answers.
Yeah, that's pretty close there. Cloning, you would have to, if it's a genetic factor, then the clone would be at the same risk as the original. If it's a non-genetic factor, then the risk would be equal. It would have the same great chance of not getting cancer if they live a healthy lifestyle.
So here's a post on Instagram. Dire wolf brought back after being extinct over 10,000 years through genetic engineering.
We had talked about that. And so the dire wolf, the whole thing there, I think which episode
did we
talk about that?
Okay.
So what they did was they had some dire wolf DNA and then they
mixed it with.
Yeah, so they're using tools, but then they used a regular wolf that was the closest relative to it and modified genes to get something like a dire wolf. So really the pups, are they dire wolf or are they more hybrid wolf? So really it's this question of...
So it just has some genetic...
Yeah, it's a little bit of hand waving. But I guess technically, I don't know how much percentage would make you a dire wolf versus another wolf. And so that the mother, the gray wolf, and then it imprints its epigenetics. So the coding gray wolf instructions onto whatever engineered DNA is there or used. So yeah, it's interesting and it's exciting.
Is that the one that's being done by Colossal Laboratories?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
And Biosciences?
Yeah, they're trying to do the dodo bird. I think there's some talk of that.
I believe it's woolly mammoth.
Yeah.
Werewolf.
And the dodo was one.
Elephants.
So there's a lot of animal kind of cloning where they'll take cells.
Because you'll say that you want to clone your pet.
Yeah. When you clone, to Nick's point about the cancer, I think also with the clone, you don't necessarily get
that out, or
don't get the personality.
You could clone your pet, but they're not going to necessarily be just like
your pet. The experiences are going to be really different.
But that's nature versus nurture, right?
Could be a lot of it, yes. Yeah. And so to your point, yes, what genes were affected. So if you go, and I think breast cancer, they're the BRCA genes. So to go with that example, you could use genetic engineering tools, CRISPR, to go in to the cell, correct those genes, and then make a clone off of that. And then hence you would then, if you know the genetic source, if it's genetic, then you could probably go after it and figure out what genes are causing that and correct those genes.
Yeah, I'm just going through their website right now and I'm just shocked.
Yeah, so many people have been talking about trying to resurrect extinct animals for some time. It's that we're bringing them into a world that we can't really keep the animals we have. What's their environment? If you go too far back, what do they eat? what was their biomes like, what were their gut biomes. So you really have all these kind of things. So are they really the direwolf from when they were around, which isn't that long ago?
This says they've been extinct 10,000 years.
Yeah, so that's not terribly long.
In the
but
big
it's,
scope
right.
of,
A lot of stuff has happened in 10,000 years. So that's...
Yeah, the environment's completely changed. The atmosphere's changed. Like, if their food sources changed, then at this point, will they have any natural predators? So will they end up becoming a greater threat than what they were?
Well, they were, I think the direwolves are apex predators, so they're pretty much at the top anyway. So what do they eat? How much they eat?
So like I don't think it's a great idea to bring back an apex predator. Like,
no,
this is Jurassic Park.
I think I was going to say, I think they made a movie about that. Yeah, so they made a movie about that. But yeah,
this is, I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah. No, so you're right. So you could do it with anything, I guess. Like you could say, I really love this apple variety that tastes like cotton candy, and now it's gone. And you find some seeds, and they're 100 years old. Someone could have. So there were people who collected seeds, and so you go to some farmhouse, and it's labeled
a little mason jar, and it says candy, cotton candy
apple. And so you might then try to. I would if you have enough seeds, try to germinate some. B, if not, maybe you can actually try to do some genetic engineering and cloning and try to get another apple species.
A lot of work.
It is a lot of work, yeah. But if it really tastes like cotton candy, so I think, like I said, in New York, I remember seeing something with some of the. I think they have 500 different varieties of apples, and they had on their orchard. They were going through trying to make these crosses to now recreate some of these varieties that were lost. But as they go around, there's other varieties that are there, and like they said, some you're there. Take the arborist, they would take it one. I think the show I was watching, they go bite into it, and it's some really this is the most delicious apple ever, so sweet and crunchy, and it's on this tree here that's just been here for 100 years. And then they go to some other tree, like we don't know, like they pick an apple off, and it tastes like garbage, right? So it doesn't. We've picked fruit that we enjoy eating.
No, but I think that think as far as apples go, some of the apples that have stayed around are actually not that great.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So here you have what's true.
Come on,
and you have
why
apples.
Couldn't we have saved the apples that?
Well, the apples that people buy, they were purchased for a reason.
I think it's because they didn't go rotten.
That's right. Red Delicious.
Because
it was so red. Well, they
can be
like that marketing. Though. That
wasn't. They can be on the shelf longer, and people, you know what I'm saying?
The thing is, they were bred that way. So Red Delicious at one point was really delicious. It was a Red Delicious apple.
Sure.
And I think that's been over time.
Propaganda.
It's the opposite of the Brussels sprout there. So people have because, like Georgia said, to have something that lasts long, that can actually be transported around, be stored in a warehouse. We think of apples you buy in January, February. No orchard in America is making those. So those have sat in a warehouse for a while.
Yeah.
And now they've sat in a warehouse under cool conditions, probably ventilated to help with ethylene.
Waxed.
And then you go, wax. And then they go to the store, and then you buy them and you eat them. You go, oh, this is really mealy and weird. And some of that's because it's still sat there and it looked good in the store, but the taste is what suffers.
Have you ever had a Red Delicious that was good?
Well, I said historically.
No, I need to know. Have you ever had one that was good?
This sounds like a challenge.
There was. Where we at some orchard or something that had Red Delicious. And
Michigan?
I think Michigan, off the picking. I think they go,
was
this
it
is
actually
one.
a Red Delicious?
I mean, that's what they said.
Or was it
I didn't do genetic analysis, all right?
Just because I feel like it's one of those things that we keep around because we associate it with it being like an American apple. We're like,
it's kept around because it's easy to grow and it travels well.
It goes well in an apple pie, and it's like it doesn't. You go with any other apple.
I think Granny Smith is the better one, right? Yeah, Red Delicious isn't for pies. I don't think anyone said that. Red Delicious is like school lunches. Yeah. That's where you see them at.
Yeah.
You give them to your teacher because you hate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
and
not
they're really red.
advocating Red Delicious.
The same thing with tomatoes. I don't know what the variety of tomato they sell at the store, but it's a very flavorless,
weird tomato.
From
the grocery store, and it doesn't taste anything like what you grow in your garden.
Grocery store food is not as good as what you can make yourself.
No, or you got to be or once again, it's a place of
Or
privilege
buy-
that you
or-
can go and find
or buy or
farmers
support
markets,
or
right?
support CSAs, and that isn't
CSAs,
necessarily
farmers markets,
more expensive, like
yeah.
locally sourced.
And they usually have non-monoculture varieties, so they're growing wide, a lot of different varieties, and you go there and a lot
But
of different
you gotta
colors.
really
and
seek it out,
you do,
like
right?
you said.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Unfortunately,
have to
a
put
lot
in
of
the
people.
work.
A lot of people in America live in food deserts,
But
so
that's
they
the
don't
thing.
even get. They
I
can't even
think-
get red delicious apples. They're just getting no apples, no fruits, no vegetables,
Right.
and so they live in a place where it's this convenience store.
But really, support
garbage,
your
so,
local growers. Support your small farms. And,
Got your local farm stands.
yeah, because I think a lot of times it's just a matter of, oh, I didn't even know this existed.
Yep. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Move
I'm
along.
so
Yes.
sorry. I
Eat
think I
healthy.
derailed us a
Stay on
little
a
bit.
perimeter. No, we talked a lot about that in the episode. Davis was really adamant. We kept going, circling back to stay on the perimeter of the grocery stores,
Right,
eat
right.
fresh.
Everything is so
but I
processed
just want to
and-
highlight that a lot of people don't have access, and so that's something. And besides healthcare being expensive, and people don't have
Right.
access to that, especially as we go into the future.
Right.
Genetic
or
tools and
insurance
things
is
like
the
that,
huge
right?
part
But
of it.
even food, and so you go be healthy and eat healthy. But
Or
if you
even clean water,
can't get
too.
that,
yes,
right, so, yeah,
water,
yeah, so-
air, yeah.
So yeah,
It's like getting clean air nowadays is also a difficult project. Like we have all these major AI data centers coming up, and those are hurting the air quality too. It's
yeah,
like, oh,
we'll have a episode on that later in the
yes,
season.
we need an episode on that so I
We
can
will, yeah.
rant.
Yep, I think we're going to have Dr. David Pincus with us, join us for data
Ooh.
centers and climate
And
change.
that'll be his
That's
third.
It'll be
visit.
right. It'll be climate
Oh, wait,
change
is that
part
this
2.
year?
Yes, this year. Yeah,
Is that-
that's going to be this year.
Okay, that's
yeah.
what I thought. I was like, wait,
Jesus.
are we teasing?
Yeah, yeah. The next episode after this mini will be on chatbots with Lily and Generoso. So Lily's a MIT computational scientist, artist, writer. Generoso's an artist, a filmmaker. And so it was a really great conversation about chatbots and where we're going with them in language. And yeah, so it was really cool. So hold on for that. That'll be in the little teaser,
sneak
couple
preview.
teasers there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the data center episode will probably be in the second half of the season. That one is going to be coming up.
So will the other climate one, right? With David?
I think that's the same one.
That's what I was just talking about.
Oh, was it? Oh, my bad.
You're like David Pincus. Oh, the one with David. Yes.
I don't know if he
Yeah.
realized we were talking about data centers or if it's just. I'm
Leave me alone.
saying.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
think
kinda-
we.
I know.
might have
Nick
been,
is a little.
You have to get your leeway.
Yeah, his ears are
we might have
mumbling.
been thinking about two different episodes, but really the same episode.
His enteric nervous system is tingling a little bit, and for that,
My
that's
spidey sense is going.
that's your second brain is in your gut, so your intestine.
Is that
your
the brain
microbiome.
that says,
Those are the
"Ooh,
ones.
yummy"?
That is exactly that brain. It sets your mood, your stress. It controls a lot of your top. Yeah, it's really interesting. We should do an episode on the enteric nervous system
Yeah,
because
let's do it.
the second brain, they call it. Because
Let's
that's
do it while I'm
you
sick.
know.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, there you go. So moving along, so hustling along here. Did you have I know you've been a little sick. Did you have any science updates,
didn't.
Nick? Or no?
Not write down
I
anything
think-
this week.
I
well,
think
I
It's
did.
we-
so rough.
We got into some good
You did.
apples.
And I do have one that was
Yes,
related
please
to the
take this one
topic.
over for today.
And so there was a brief came out. So the peer-reviewed paper hasn't come out yet, but they reported this. A group in China, surgical team, they used a genetically modified pig liver to keep a man alive until he could get a human organ transplant.
Oh.
And so this idea of extracorporeal perfusion, and so this is a medical technology that circulates blood or specialized solutions outside the body to support or treat organs, tissues of patients. And usually that's done with a machine or some sort of device. And people have been experimenting this since the 1990s, using cadavers and connecting them and seeing if they can work. But using a genetically modified organ, especially out of pigs. So pigs are really closely related. Their organs and their physiology is close to humans. And so a lot of the idea is that can you use parts, grow them in the pig, and then transplant them into a human
Oh my
or use them
goodness.
that way.
This,
And so this group, they did this here and at Shaijing Hospital of the Air Force Medical University in Xi'an, China. And so the procedure, they call it a xenotransplantation. And the idea is if you can use this, then you can reduce the number of people waiting for a human organ And the genetically modification, I think 6 genes were modified. 3 pig genes were downregulated or removed. And then the other 3, they added in genes that produce human proteins to reduce the risk of recipient rejection. So that's a big issue when you do human transplant. That's why you got to have a nice match. You got to match up all of the factors so that the organ isn't rejected once you put it into the recipient. So that's the thing with the pigs. You could engineer it to be a perfect match. And just to fast forward to Nick's point in this segment, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration last year approved a trial to test whether extracorporeal perfusion using genetically modified pig livers can be used to safely treat people with organ failure. So that's Horizon here in testing in the States. Yeah, I'll keep my eye on to see when the paper, the surgical team said they were going to write up all the results and track the man this procedure was done on. So yeah, and the company was called Clone Organ Biotechnology in China. So yeah, so really cool kind of thing. And I'll post a reference to a paper that they were using pig livers with brain dead cadavers. So they were doing some preliminary testing to see if they could actually filter the blood using external liver as a organ. Yeah, so pretty cool. Pretty interesting.
That is interesting. It sparked a memory of mine.
About apples?
No.
Is it about Twilight Zone?
No. It's about pigs in this story. And the book is called How High We Go in the Dark, which is basically, it is like a novel, but it's like more or less like these interlocking short stories. And one of them is about a scientist. They were using these pigs for these studies, but the pig started to talk. Like the pig was able to start talking. And then, of course, the scientist got really close to this pig. But it just, when you were talking about that, like growing these, I don't know why, it just.
Yeah, why don't you look that up, get that in the show notes.
But How High We Go in the Dark.
Sounds like it'd be an interesting read. I don't know. Yeah, and then I had Nick and his norovirus, so it's a highly contagious virus that causes severe short-term vomiting and diarrhea. And one of the things I always think about with it is cruise ships. And so I wanted to look it up and cruise ships is a perfect place because the rapid spread, because it's crowded, it's a semi-enclosed environment. There's a lot of people, usually shared buffets, things like that, because it's person-to-person transmission is the most common mode of transmissions. And it is responsible for over 90% of cruise GI outbreaks caused by norovirus. So that is if you have an outbreak like this, it's probably a norovirus. And this represents about less than 1% of all reported norovirus cases.
So you're saying that
it shouldn't be called like the cruise ship disease.
A lot, like it, probability-wise, it's not very high.
Exactly.
Except for that during the COVID, where that one cruise ship they were on that cruise ship for so much longer.
Yeah, but they had COVID. That was the thing. Yeah,
and it was COVID. Right. But I'm just saying, how horrible is that?
And as cruise ships, theme parks, they were, if we think back to COVID and even norovirus, because you have these very highly contagious person-to-person diseases that really happen in these places like that, they do have generally like HEPA filters, they have very clean conditions, or try to maintain some sort of cleanliness to isolate these so they don't spread rapidly through the population. So when COVID was easing, you saw the theme parks, Disney, they opened up a little early and they were like, oh yeah, we already had HEPA filters. We already had all this kind of infrastructure, because they probably work with virologists to go, okay, how do we not have an outbreak?
Well, you don't want to be known as
That's right. Yeah,
you don't want to be known as a cruise ship.
Yeah, so I think that's something that's interesting. But I always think norovirus, my head always goes to cruise ship, and I don't know if other people do that, but we shouldn't. I should get that out of my head.
I've never actually been on a cruise ship, so I
haven't either.
Don't ever think of those.
Yeah, I haven't been on a cruise ship, and I haven't got norovirus on a cruise ship.
I did the craft. It was a Carnival cruise, but it was the Crafty Chica cruise that I.
What? Yeah. What are you talking? What?
Georgia was on a cruise.
It was a woman that I know, and her business is called the Crafty Chica, And she hosted a cruise where you go and then you make cool crafts and stuff. And then you would go just do the other cruise stuff.
We should get like a rabbit hole of research
cruise.
The
one I really want to go to is there's different music ones where it's like the Americana music, whatever. And like you get to see all these. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Sounds fun. Cruises. They're safe. Probably won't get norovirus.
Maybe not
So
100%.
What kind of media have you guys been consuming this week, past weeks?
Yeah, so I've been in edit land on a novella that I've been working with my agent on. And,
Did you finally get to the editing? I know you.
Yeah, we're there. So in the edits, there's nothing major. So there's a couple small things, but then a lot of it's just at this point really thinking about the style just at the sentence level. And so one of the books I really like, Virginia Tufte, Tufte, Artful Sentences, Syntax as Style. And so it's a book where she goes over sentence patterns and forms and thousands of examples through written history to show how you can craft sentences that are sing and have a lot of rhythm and are fun to read and memorable. So as I'm editing, I'm reading that and thinking about some of the sentences. And because sometimes you just get the thing when you write, you get hooked in your own pattern. And so if something sounds good to your ear, to your eye, and then you just use it over and over again, and then it loses its impact. So if you can mix in some new, fresh things in there, then that kind of keeps the voice and your syntax crispy. So I like that. Yeah, so that's what I've been digging at. And Maggie Smith's Dear Writer, so I'm still reading that, which is motivational for writers and kind of the craft of writing. So those are two books I've been reading. I think I have something on hold at the library I was going to be reading, but yeah.
Is that on your TBR, Nick?
Wait, what? Is that on my
I'm just kidding.
TDR?
You're to be read.
TBR.
Oh.
To be read, not TDR.
Oh.
I don't know what that means.
What is this?
Yeah, so.
That's why I was confused. I was like, wait, what about you, Georgia?
I don't know. I just started to read. What did I just start reading? How about you, Nick? I have to look it
All
up.
right. Yeah, I'll go. I've been going off of some books that the author of, what's the name? Only Good Indians?
Oh yeah,
right.
Stephen Graham Jones.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been going off of his series lately. I'm 2 books deep into his Indian Lake trilogy.
Oh wow.
Been very much enjoying it. It starts with, what's the name of the movie? Or the book? My Heart is a Chainsaw. That's the first book in the series, which I think if we ever get around to another horror movie episode where it's serial killers and that stuff, I think we should go on and ask him to join.
Yeah, we should.
We should definitely do
The
that.
whole book is very much like talking about horror movies in a us everyday sense. And it ends up being about a final girl who ends up regretting wanting to be a final girl or wanting to be in a horror movie. And so now I'm on book 2 of the series, Don't Fear the Reaper. Done with that. I've been greatly enjoying these.
They're
Cool.
really good.
Yeah.
I've only read Only Good Indians, but it's so good.
And he had a short story.
He
in
has
Don't
a
Whistle
couple.
at Night, so
he has a
that
couple
was-
of novellas
right.
too.
Yep.
And then the newest one
Yep.
is the Buffalo Hunters, I think, or I might be not getting the title right, but
I know, I feel really bad when I'm wrong about the names, but it's so often.
you're not alone.
Oh, and then I also read another one of his, Killer on the Road,
I've heard of that one too.
and The Buffalo Hunter.
The Buffalo Hunter.
Yes.
That.
I
was
did
gonna
find the
okay.
book that I was reading. Alice Finney, My Husband's Wife. And I'm actually really only on the 4th chapter. Really, it's just totally, I think I started it last night though. It totally draws me in and it's really well written. But I think it's huge. It's a really big bestseller. I think the library has 32 copies and
Wow.
there's still a 4-person wait on each copy or something. So
Wow.
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, no, look forward to that. I've been watching Shrinking on Apple Plus.
Oh, how was that?
Oh my
That's pretty good.
gosh.
It's really good. Really well written.
That is,
acted.
I think
yeah.
that's the best show ever.
Yeah. Traders UK version.
It's silly.
It's psychological. It's like a game of werewolf. So where you have 2 people, 3 people are traders, and the rest of the group are faithfuls. And you have to, if a trader makes it to the end, then the trader wins all the money. If a faithful, they find out all the traders, then the faithful get the money who's left. So really, a show in that way. Yeah.
Very cool.
And I'm going to say, I mentioned I had read some book on reserve or hold when it comes in, but it's called The Change Agent by Daniel Suarez. And it was recommended by Bruce, who commented on the episode about genetic engineering. And I guess the whole book is that you have this agent trying to track down some terrorist who uses like a genetic engineering weapon that then changes the agent to look like the terrorist. And then he has to prove like who he is. So yeah, seemed like an interesting premise. Figured I would
Oh, damn. Nice.
check that out.
I'll have to check it out.
It was recommended. Yeah. And thanks all the folks who commented. There was some lively conversation on the comments. So thanks for listening. The new listeners who joined recently. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Always the big things. Yeah. Last thing I want to add is I'm almost done with The Marvelous Miss Maisel. I think I'm just about to enter the last season.
Nice.
I am upset that I've gone through it so fast.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
But the game front has been a little weak for me lately because of being busy and then sick and just dying.
Sick will do that. Yeah, especially norovirus sick. That's not the normal sick.
I think I was texting Joe earlier today that I could not. It was just, I've been attempting and it has not been winning. But yeah, anything else we have to add for this week, Joe?
I think that's it. I think that's everything. Really. Thank you for listening to The Mini.
Yes. The Mini.
Mini.
You going to say it too, Georgia?
The Mini.
Cool. All right. You have me, Joe.
Yeah, I got Nick.
You got Nick.
Georgia.
We got Georgia.
And we went down some hole.
The mini hole. We love y'all.
Down that mini hole.
Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay curious.
Bye.